I really love Psalm 37. Do not fret, it only causes harm. And I think that's such a temptation for men and for women. I myself, what will happen? And you can just kind of get carried away with what if and you're just very uncertain and unsteady about what the future would look like. So as Christians, we have a sovereign God who really is ruling. And so we're called to kind of rein in our anxiety, to put our trust in God, to hope in him. Paul says it so beautifully when he talks in Philippians, where he tells them to be anxious for nothing. But then he tells them to take their anxiety and to place it in God. And the God will basically take that and do wonderful things, right? When we place our hope and our trust in him. And so I would say, when we look at the evil prospering all around us, sure, it gives us cause for great concern, maybe even alarm. We should be awake. We should be aware to the problems in our culture. In other words, just not putting our head in the sand, but at the same time recognizing that God is still on his throne. One of the most beautiful parts of Psalm 37 is when the psalmist, he says, I saw the wicked, he was spreading himself out like a great green bay tree, but then I looked for him and I could not find him. In other words, the root, the stump, everything was removed and taken down. And you have to ask yourself, how many times has that happened in culture today? Where are the great men of the earth? Their names over time, they evaporate. They're just gone. One of my favorite questions sometimes to ask is, who was the king during the time of Esther? If you ask 100 people, who was that king? A lot of people would just shrug and not know. But he reigned all the way from Ethiopia to India across 120 provinces. I mean, a massive, massive kingdom. But most people today, they don't recognize or remember his name. But we have a book called the Book of Esther. And so we have great reason to just not fret, to trust in God, to lean upon him, derive our comfort from him, and to not pretend, but when we are anxious, to turn that into prayer, to turn that into seeking after God, turn that into seeking good counsel, and putting our rest in him.